Attention Delaware small business owners. If you're looking to grow in 2025, I encourage you to check out the Delaware Division of Small Business Edge Grant Competition. STEM companies can earn up to $100,000 and entrepreneur class companies up to $50,000. Applicants must employ 10 or fewer individuals, be majority located right here in Delaware, and have been in operation less than 7 years.
For more information, visit de.gov/edge.
Power isn't just in Washington, it's in state legislatures, where real decisions shape how we live. Executive orders may come from the White House, but their impact is felt here in Delaware, on immigration, on funding, and on privacy. So what happens next? Do we accept these changes, or does Delaware push back? That's where the General Assembly comes in. Are lawmakers prepared to act? What protections are being put in place, and how can you stay informed and involved? Senator Nicole Poore is on the front lines of policymaking in this state, and today she's here to break down what Delaware legislative response will be. This is The Agenda. Buckle up. Welcome to The Agenda. Senator Nicole Poore, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for the invite.
We appreciate it. This is your first time guest here on The Agenda.
Yes.
Man, we must be doing okay. We have Senator Nicole Poore. She's here. We are doing our job that we believe here for the citizens of the state of Delaware and for those that are watching from other states to ensure that our constituents, our citizens, our viewers know what's going on the agenda. There's a lot going on right now, Senator Poore, in regards to executive orders being poured out from Washington, and how those affect Delawareans. A lot of people don't know. But on top of that, as I've spoken to other folks in the legislature, they may not know, and it's fortunate, you're my senator, so I know where you stand on issues, but I can't speak to everyone in our district. They may not know. All Delawareans may not know where Nicole Poore stands in regards to these issues, whether or not they feel as though they're going to be protected, whether or not they're step and fetch with the White House, because some senators do. They think this legislation needs executive orders, and I'm talking about state legislatures, not federal legislatures. But some feel as though, hey, he's doing the right thing. The president, that is. Some feel as though he's not, but people want to know where they stand and who's representing them. So thank you for coming on and having that discussion. I say we jump right in when it comes to these executive orders.
Sure.
But first, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Nicole Poore and your state senator. I was elected in 2012 for a 4-year term and have continued with my head down and staying focused to the people inside my district. I came from big business and worked in healthcare for more than 20 years, did some nonprofit work, and then also worked for several years for a private organization that handled the workforce solutions for DuPont as I entered into the legislative body. So
Agile One, right?
Yes, absolutely. And so since then, I have run Jobs for Delaware Graduates, which is in direct contact with over 4,000 students. It's been in existence for over 45 years, and managing that alongside of my Senate job.
I'm a product of Job for Delaware Graduates.
Amen.
And I, hands down, they helped me get a job at MBNA when it was MBNA.
Yeah, right.
And I was a telemarketer extraordinaire. And a lot of that had to do with JDG in my junior year, senior year of high school. And very thankful for that.
Well, thank you. And we hear that all the time. I mean, it with over 115,000 students that have come throughout the program, I hear it all the time. I could be at Lowe's in a JDG t-shirt and someone walk by and say, oh my God, I was in that program. And so it's amazing, it's unique, and I'm glad that it's been in existence for as long as it has, and it gives us the opportunity to help a lot of students out there.
Yep, a fruitful organization. Now, these executive orders are coming down for the past 2 weeks now. The first 2 weeks President Trump being in office, he has passed a lot and distributed a lot, I would say. And people are a little concerned. We dealt with the funding issue last week, whether or not federal grants were going to be stifled, and people I don't think they understand what that means to folks in the state. They don't understand that there's a lot of sandwiching of funds to get people paid and to do those things, and regardless of where you stand in the aisle, you just can't stop that. We have police, we have firefighters, all of those that are expecting federal funds to assist them in their jobs. So I don't know. You know, I'm a little worried. We're gonna get to immigration after this, but right now, like, what are your thoughts down in Dover, and what's the consensus of the folks down there in Dover?
I mean, for a second, it takes your breath away, right?
Right.
You know, democracy spoke, and that's what we're built on. And so, you know, across the nation, people said that they wanted change. In Delaware, we didn't. So 56%. Almost 57% of Delawareans actually voted for Vice President Harris. So, you know, we know what we're built on. We know what we stand for. That being said, you know, President Trump, you have to respect the Oval Office and hope that the person that is leading our country is doing it with very thoughtful consideration.
We hope. We hope.
Yes. They're doing it with thoughtful consideration, right? Like, before they're putting pen to paper, you know, how does this affect millions of people across the United States? But, you know, for a second, yeah, it takes your breath away. As a legislator, you're saying, oh my gosh, I have people on Social Security, under Medicaid, SNAP, TANF, you name it. How are they going to survive? What is going to happen to them? And then how do we relay that to people? And so, you know, it definitely, it took a pause for all of us collectively. I work with a great group of people. And so, you know, with our senators, it was a pause. It was thoughtful conversation about, you know, how are you handling it in your district? These are some of the approaches that I'm taking in my district. And collectively putting out there that, you know, we won't stand for it, and whatever we can do, and with the support of our new governor, Governor Meyer, making sure that we are giving protection across the state of Delaware.
Yeah, and I had the Attorney General on recently, and she's made it clear that, you know, they are doing everything that they can from a justice perspective to ensure that our fundamental rights are still intact, and that we're still protecting Delawareans and the visitors here in the state of Delaware. And I think most people at home want to know that the legislature is doing the same thing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, kudos to our Attorney General for immediately, as soon as that coming out, those, you know, executive orders and stopping funding, she was quick to say, no, we're going to sue, right?
This won't happen, right?
Yeah, this cannot happen. And sure, again, doing audits, checking, you know, making sure that that spending is being done appropriately. I get that, but that doesn't mean you stop. You're not stopping on a dime and not making sure that you're taking care of people. You know, in every organization, even in government, you're constantly looking for tweaks. That's why we have legislation, right? You might start at one point, you end up in another point because it continues to grow, because you see the value of what that legislation has done for people. And so it definitely, again, it caused a little bit of a pause and then a regrouping, and then saying, what do we stand for? And making sure that we're buckling down on it.
Yeah, I think that some people are worried still. And I asked the Attorney General about this, about their civil rights.
Yeah.
Right? They're still in question. I believe that they are, because at the rate of these executive orders coming out. And I truly disbelieve that there is not a plan in place, right? Some of this is a fear tactic. Some of this is taking a census on what the population will bear in regards to changes. But I do believe, Senator Poore, I believe that all of this is very strategic. And I believe that there is an ultimate goal to take away some of our civil rights, some of the things that we've become accustomed to. But I still believe in the power of states' rights and ensuring that our legislature is making sure that that occurs.
Sure. Well, when you are in a second term, as President Trump is in, he really has nothing to lose. He knows he's not getting reelected. He knows he's not going to serve another term. And so everything that he said that he was going to do, think about how quickly he is starting to execute it, right? So we can't be naive to those things happening. What we do have to do in the state of Delaware is make sure that we stand strong in regards to not accepting it. And, again, you saw he had to pull back on some of his executive orders simply because
we fought back.
Yeah, absolutely. And no governor wants their funding frozen. No governor. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. You need your money. You want your money, and you want to make sure that you are spending it appropriately for the people in your state.
Right, and we're trying to build back this economy, make it the strongest economy in the world, and doing things like that, it makes it difficult. I want to talk a little bit about immigration. There has been a big push in this administration in regards to having undocumented individuals and their families being removed from this country to the point where we have people in our state here that are taxpayers, that are law-abiding citizens, that are scared that ICE agents are going to knock on their door and tell them, you got to go, and we're going to take you.
Yeah, but so far, it's been confirmed. We haven't had any of that activity as of yet, right? Like the conversation, to your point, a scare tactic. What we don't want to do is scare people to the point that their children aren't going to school. And that will happen.
We're getting close.
Yeah, I know. It will happen. It could happen. You don't want that to happen, right? School's a safe haven for our children. We want them to have all the opportunities that every child has. But if you're fearful that your child could be taken or that you could be taken, you're gonna basically not come out of your home, and that definitely is a problem. I love our Attorney General immediately was sending out information to us, which most of us posted, right? Like, hey, you should know your rights. Whether you are a documented citizen or not, you should know your rights, and here's how to reach us. And I thought that was extremely helpful. We posted it. Most of us posted it. It is surprising at some of the comments that come back. On your social media feed, and so you just have to, again, you take a pause to say, I know that someone who has been born in this country, who knows no other country, may be undocumented but still paying taxes, actually working,
and not causing a problem.
Not causing a problem. What happens? Okay, so if they're from Mexico and you ship them back to Mexico, where are they going home to? They don't know Mexico, they know the United States. So we do have policies in place. Some of the other things is if some of these folks are going to get an attorney, I have talked to people, the fees are really outrageous. And so they are working hard to get that type of money in order to pay an attorney, in order to get documented. And those barriers have been really a problem.
And that process isn't instantaneous. It isn't as though you file this and then in 10 days you get a response. No, this takes years in some cases. Yeah. And to your point, it's extremely expensive.
It's very expensive, absolutely. I was just on the phone the other night. A young girl called me. She is going to school, and she's under an H-1B visa. And getting she's a speech language pathologist, getting her C's, and she's going to finish. And she said, I want to stay in the United States, and I know in the state of Delaware you need speech language pathologists. We have a great program at University of Delaware. We have great therapists in Delaware, but as we know, the workforce has changed. And so we have a young girl who says, hey, I want to stay here and I can do this. Getting her paperwork has been really, really difficult. I know separate and distinct from, someone who is undocumented, but still the process is still long and lengthy. And so it does put some barriers up for those folks.
And what do you think that this does to our economy? I mean, from the state's economy?
Well, what we're hearing is, again, I talked about children not going to school. People aren't going to go to work. So we do know that there's, number of people who work at farmers and they're working for some of our manufacturing plants, they're gonna not go to work, and then who's gonna fill those spots?
Right, and I think
So-
about that. We have a planting season that's coming up right now.
Absolutely.
Our agriculture is one of our major economic drivers in this state, and to have that, slowing down,
Yeah.
the poultry industry. A lot of these folks work there, and some of them are seasonal. Some of them come in and they go. But what are those farmers going to do? I don't know. Is there a discussion with the Department of Agriculture of what's next? Like, is our new Secretary of Agriculture putting a plan together to say, hey, this is what we're going to do? I don't know. I don't know. Are those conversations happening in Dover?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I'll say is I think our former Secretary of Agriculture was amazing. Our new Secretary of Agriculture has a great background in this industry and knows what needs to be done. And Governor Meyer, put him forth through the Senate. He was confirmed. So yeah, those conversations are happening. But again, broadly, we are creating, there is chaos being created. And that chaos is not giving peace to people that deserve it and need it. And I don't think that that's what the Americans want. I definitely know Delaware doesn't want it.
But
right?
who's speaking up to that point? I think your point is genuine. I think your point, it makes a lot of sense. But are people now seeing that and are speaking up to it? And I think that's what's going to make a difference.
I think that, as far as the legislature is concerned, yes, putting the right people in place. And that's what Governor Meyer has done so far, right? By giving the cabinet secretaries, putting the cabinet secretaries before us and having us confirm them. We have some great folks and great friends that'll be in the administration, and we're very happy that they're going to be there. And so, yes, they are going to give some protections. And oftentimes, as a legislature, we'll get a call from a cabinet secretary that says, hey, we need to change these regs, right? Can you help us do this? And so absolutely we'll do it, right? There was a conversation just recently that I had in regards to healthcare and some tweaks that we need to make in the pharmacy area. So we'll do those things. So there will be a great partnership for us to be able to do it. So when you ask us about speaking up, sometimes it comes in the form of legislation, sometimes it comes in the form of media. It just depends on what needs to be said and how it needs to be said.
I cannot let you leave this show without talking about education in state.
Yes. Yes.
I know it's difficult, but I also know that it's a big discussion going on down in Dover, and it should be.
Yeah.
And it should be. What's the feel? And I know that we have a brand new Secretary of Education that's leading that organization. I am, for the record, optimistic because there's someone that is brand new, that's to the Delaware way, is not what we've seen before. It's going to be fresh thoughts, fresh ideas coming in to deal with this problem. We just got new numbers in a few days ago. They were not spectacular. They were low luster. Yeah. And we knew that, right? We knew that we didn't expect big changes to occur. But what are some of the things? What assurances, if any, you can give to your constituents and viewers of this show that, forget from a proficiency level, but just as a working together as a legislature to combat this issue? Yeah,
well, I think we have a fabulous chair and co-chair of education. You have Representative Williams and you have Senator Sturgeon, right? One who has taught and one who has been an advocate for years in the education world. So you have two great, formidable leaders in the education committees, both in the Senate and the House. Having a new secretary, fresh eyes on what we're doing. There's a lot of conversation that has taken place about Wilmington, Christina, all of the school districts, unit funding. I mean, that could be 10 more shows. We could take up time and talk about that. And so, and then we also have a new administration, right? So Governor Meyer has been talking about education. He talks about his previous past in education. And so he found someone that he could connect with to say, hey, change is not always easy.
No, it's not.
And change can be uncomfortable, but it's always warranted. And so at that point, we have this new cabinet secretary and she is a delight. Had a great conversation with her before we had the opportunity to confirm her. And she just has a zest for it. So it's going to be exciting times, I think, in the education world. But let's not just roll over the fact that our numbers are different. I believe parents want the best for their children.
And so do employers.
And that is the second part of it, right? Because our students in school today are our workforce next year, 5 years, 10 years down the road. And so they need the supports and the strengths that we can offer them. But it doesn't always come just in a textbook, right? And it doesn't come necessarily in a 90-minute class either. And so each child needs something different, whether it's an IEP, but I'm a firm believer that if you have an IEP in place in the earlier years, the goal is to work out of that IEP
Hopefully.
and get that student on the level of their peers and move forward. So, we have some work to do, and we're not ignorant to having to put forth the work. And like I said, we have a great group of people that sit on the education committee, me included. So we're going to be rolling up our sleeves to make sure that we are focused on changing what we've just recently heard.
We couldn't ask for a better governor that understands education, that understands what education should look like, because they've been right there in the classroom and know what not only the students need, but what the teachers needs and what the buildings needs and the whole 9 yards. So, I'm expecting great things to happen. I just need for them to happen now, Senator Poore. I mean, I think everyone else does. They need for them to happen now. The more that every day that we don't act, another child is uneducated. Another child slips behind. And that's what keeps me up at night, is that even though we're working hard to fix this problem, another child is not meeting proficiency or expectations. One of our guests is trying to bring new business here to the state of Delaware, and was talking about the technology of their business and all that's going on. And one of the problems that they're having is ensuring that they have a workforce that understands that technology, which they're willing to do through education and training, but is proficient enough to be able to facilitate the needs of that work. And right now, I don't know and I don't want to say yes or no, but I don't know if we have the children on the right path for success in regards to that. I don't know.
Well, here's what I'm going to say is that I believe we have phenomenal educators in the state of Delaware.
I concur.
And we are just now starting to raise the level of pay for them, right? So for many years, we were not competitive to our surrounding states. And so we're starting to make those changes. But it is tough. Let's not taking the child and the student in one situation, but now let's talk about the teacher, right? That teacher's in a classroom of 25 students. There's no law that says you can't have more than a percentage of students under an IEP. And so they need to have supports in that classroom. Every child learns differently. And so, you have to build your curriculum around what is best for those students. So it's almost like you need the perfect storm. And I think we're getting there, right? Like you hear Governor Meyer talking about it. I'm telling you about our chair and our co-chair of education. We have initiatives in Wilmington that are taking place. So you have a lot of synergy around this. And there's not one of us that don't want our students to be successful.
Well, thank you for coming on the show, first of all. Thank you for your continued optimism and drive down in Dover and ensuring that everyone's issues stay on the agenda.
Absolutely.
We know that education is at the forefront of the legislature right now and getting it right. And it's great to know that you're down there and making sure that that happens. And if you have questions, if you have comments that you would like to get to Senator Poore, please comment below. We'll make sure that she gets them and make sure that you get an answer. As always, thank you all for joining us right here on the agenda. We hope you come back and see us sooner than later, and so do you. So everyone, please remember to like us, love us, comment below. Until next time, be safe.